Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 30 of SuperSports, the review series for Gran Turismo's selection of exotic performance cars that fall quite nicely between regular sports cars and full-on supercars. And in this particular episode we're featuring one of pretty much the flagship cars in this category of vehicles, one of the cars which would probably come to many people's mind first under this category of cars, and one of the flagships of the company from which it comes, and a bestseller, I believe, from that company. It is, of course, Ferrari. And the car in particular is the original shape F430. Not the Scuderia, of course, we've already reviewed that in the series. Now we're going for the less hardcore, more mainstream, using the term very loosely of course, version of the F430. Now the F430 kind of started was the vehicle with which Ferrari started quite a well-matched rivalry with Lamborghini against the Gallardo. They're both brilliant cars, they're both very well matched to each other, and they both have their own distinct advantages over each other. The Lamborghini has always had that heavy Audi influence with its tech, with its all-wheel drive, and with the overall feel and quality of the car. It feels very well put together, everything's very meticulous, very sterile, as it were. Not that it lacks charisma, but that it feels very German, very efficient, very clinical. Whereas the F430 is ironically more Italian, considering that Lamborghini is also, technically. But the Ferrari has the rear-wheel drive chassis, the more shouty V8 engine, whereas the Lamborghini has that howling V10. And so, as I said, the cars are very evenly matched. Now, we don't actually have the equivalent Gallardo on the game to this particular F430. We have the newer shape Gallardo LP560. So this Ferrari, in a particular way, is kind of unique in that regard because its main rival is not featured on the game. So it kind of has that small segment of the supersports category almost to itself. Now that said, it's still perfectly reasonable, of course, to compare it to the other supersports cars in the game, and it's certainly up to the job. Now, as far as F430s go on Gran Turismo, the Scuderia is the obvious choice. It's lighter, it's more hardcore, it looks more aggressive, it sounds more aggressive. It's the Superleggera of Ferrari. But the F430, in its arguably purer, original, softer, simpler, smoother form, is still an excellent car. And that's coming from someone who is not the biggest of Ferrari F430 fans. I don't love this car, but it is a good car nonetheless. It's powered by, as the name suggests, and as Ferrari often does, the capacity of its engine. It's a 4.3 litre, naturally aspirated, mid-mounted V8. As already mentioned, it powers the rear wheels, and it has a very strong spec for a supersports model. In fact, it can even rival, or begin to rival, some supercars. It produces 720 horsepower at a whopping 10,000 RPM, 448 pound-feet of torque, which isn't too surprising that it's not all that high, because Ferraris do typically tend to be more about power than torque. Peak torque does still arrive at a pretty high 6,500 RPM, so it's very much an engine that likes to be worked to get the best out of it, which fits in with Ferrari's whole image. The company has always had a very close relationship between their road cars and their race cars, so it makes sense that their road cars perform and feel and have the attitude of kind of snarling, ready-to-go race car kind of feel. As far as weight, it's pretty good, 1,188 kilos, so not quite as light as the Scuderia, but still certainly not the heaviest of supersports models. And the fact that it has the advantage over the Lamborghini of not being all-wheel drive certainly does work to the F430's advantage. Now that said, the Lamborghini does actually end up being slightly lighter, which means that if the Ferrari was all-wheel drive in this case, it would be even heavier. So it's kind of a good thing that it is rear-wheel drive. Now, as far as horsepower per tonne, it puts out just over 606 to be exact, which is perfectly decent for a super sports car, nothing to be sniffed at. And the PP is a reasonably high, but at the same time I would say quite modest, 610. And I would say that's a pretty good level for this car, because to put that into perspective, that's only around 10 pp higher than a Dodge Challenger or a Plymouth Cuda muscle car when they're fully tuned. Now, around the track, those muscle cars wouldn't stand a chance against this Ferrari, even if you de-restricted this Ferrari down to their PP level of 599. But to get it down to that level, that's only a drop of 11 pp to what it is fully tuned. So it gives you some idea of how good this car actually can be at that PP level. I would say that the PP technically should be a little bit higher compared to what this car can actually do, because around the track it may not be the Scuderia, but it's still an extremely quick machine. In terms of overall straight line performance, you're looking at around 250 miles per hour flat out, which is roughly the same as the Scuderia. Acceleration again is slightly different, but roughly the same. Most of the differences between this and the Scuderia are around corners rather than in a straight line. And as far as price, it sits at a pretty hefty but reasonable for a super sports car, 243,000 credits. So I wouldn't say it's overly expensive. It is a Ferrari after all, and it is, or was, their flagship model of the time. So if you're looking for a strong super sports model that can still cut it with the latest super sports machines and has that Italian flair, the F430 is an oldie but still a goodie in that regard. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.